Hello, everybody. Today's interview question has to do with Linux. Linux, the king of operating system, things that DevOps engineers and SREs use literally every day, if not every hour, right? So you have to know uh, Linux to some extent, not at the beginner level. Maybe you don't need to be an expert, but at least somewhere in the middle. You have to know Linux to pass interviews and actually do the job. You have to do that. Before I start though, please subscribe to my channel. If I see that people are getting value out of my videos, then I feel motivated to do more and more every day. Okay, the question today is, you have a Linux machine that is lagging. It's kind of slow. It seems to be under heavy load, but the CPU usage is already low. So what else could it be, right? That's the question. So the answer to that question is there are three other things that can be wrong with the machine that doesn't impact the CPU directly. You can have a memory usage, you can have an I/O usage, or you can have a networking problem, right? But generally speaking, networking problem manifest themselves in different ways. It impacts more than just one server, or it has a larger impact on the overall systems, right? So you're going to roll that out today. Memory you can look at, but generally speaking, though, CPU and memory go together. So if you don't have a CPU problem, it's likely that you don't have a memory problem, but we should look into it and roll it out, right? But the key thing the interviewer is going for here is that your knowledge that the disk I/O can impact the machine without actually impacting CPU too much, right? That's what he or she is going for. So what do? We run commands like iostat or vmstat to look and see how busy the disks are, right? Or maybe one particular disk or one particular volume. You run those commands to look into that. Now, if we have memory problems, often they show up as a swapping problem. What is swapping? Swapping is when, let's say that you have 10 things running on memory and memory is getting full, right? What and you try to load the 11th one, what the computer is going to do is going to take the least used one and put that into a designated area called pages into the disk, which is slower, right? But if this continues to happen, what happens is what's called thrashing. You're continuously going back and forth between memory and disk, and the computer is super slow because all it's doing is going back and forth. It's not doing enough of the real work, right? So you can look for that if you run vmstat and look for there's a column. There are two columns, SI and SO, swap in and swap out. Those two columns will tell you if that's what's happening, right? So that will rule out if there's any memory problem of sort. Now, um, if you indeed have a problem with the disk volumes being slow or whatnot or overused, you can use the command called top or htop. Htop is basically a better version of top, right? You can run one of these commands and you will see that the process is in the state called D, capital D. That means it's in a state called uninterruptible sleep. That means it's waiting for something. You can't wake it up. You can't wake up this process because it's not in a state where you can respond to you because it's waiting for some disk information to come back, some data to come back from the disk, right? If you see that, that's a good sign that you have disk I/O issues. The other thing we didn't mention is it is less likely to happen, but it does happen. You have other type problems, maybe a hardware problem, or maybe, oh, I don't know, some other problem that's happening that's not categorizable in one of these three categories. Oftentimes they will show up in the system's logs, and you can look at that by running the command dmesg, D-M-E-S-G. If you run that command, you will see the latest messages from the system. And every once in a while, you get into a problem where it is not the CPU, it's not the disk, it's not the memory, it's something else. And that something else might show up in the system's log messages. I hope this was useful to you, and I will see you in the next one.